We got NFL Sunday, week 17. I'm going to have 4 plays for you guys to lock in. 3 of them are plus money bangers. One of them is actually going to be laddered as well. So pretty confident, pretty into the plays that we have for this Sunday. It's been a pretty good season overall. So instead of just going week by week, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the entire season. Up over 33 units on the year. Very, very good. Up over 18% ROI. Very, very good. Hopefully we can continue this train, this success run that we are on for Sunday. Again, I'm going to have 4 plays for you guys to lock in, and we can just get right into it. Let's just start with our first one. We're going to go with Aaron Jones. This is in the Packers-Vikings game, I should say. Aaron Jones over 18.5 receiving yards, -110 odds at, this one is best offered at Bet365. This is a system play here. Running back receiving props against the Packers. And especially for a guy like Aaron Jones, who is pretty frequently used in the passing game. So you put those two together, you get a pretty great play. Jones has hit this number in 9 of 15 games this season. He's averaging about 23 receiving yards per game as well on the entire year. He has cashed this in 2 straight games, so we're not quite doing a fade of recent results type of play here, but cashing it in 2 straight. Prior to that, he had missed it in 4 of 5. So missed in 4 of 5, then cashed it in 2 straight. Kind of just shows you the ebbs and flows of a normal NFL season. But I'm not scared off of the fact that he has cashed it in 2 games in a row because it's a really, really good matchup. And they use him a lot in the receiving game. The Packers, again, will allow receiving work go to the running back. Even last week, horrific game. Just a terrible game against the Saints. Kendre Miller, in limited snaps, had 16 receiving yards. His over-under was either 13.5 or 15.5, depending on what book you bet it at. He did not get to the 20-plus number that, unfortunately, I bet, but he did hit his mainline play, which is what we're taking Aaron Jones. We're not doing a ladder play on Aaron Jones, just the over 18.5. On the entire season, the Packers have allowed the 3rd highest target share go to the running back position, 18.8%. Again, that's the 3rd most, 7th most receiving yards per game allowed to the running back on the 6th most receptions. That's on the entire season. Since week 8, that target share number has jumped up to about 19.8%, so it's jumped up by 1%. Still the 3rd most, 2 teams still above them, allowing the 3rd most receptions to running backs and the 6th most receiving yards as well. Last time these 2 teams played earlier this year, Aaron Jones had 46 receiving yards. He gets 19 in this one to cash this out for us. That's our first play. Next up, we're heading over to the Titans versus Jaguars game. We're taking Chig Okonkwo, 40-plus receiving yards, plus 100 odds at DraftKings. Full unit McSlam on this bad boy as well. This is very similar to the Aaron Jones play, where we're not fading recent results in this one. Instead, we are backing recent results, and it's another matchup play, just a very bad Jags passing defense. And it's also Chig getting more production when he plays with Mason Rudolph as opposed to Will Levis. That's another part of the reason why we're on this play. Yes, Chig has cashed this in the past 2 games. More importantly are the target numbers, 10 and 11 targets. And we're asking for 40 receiving yards, right? It's nothing crazy that we're asking for. And the coach, offensive coordinator for the Titans, was asked about this after the game. Came in and said that part of the reason why the target volume was there was because the team was playing prevent defense because they were down, but that Chig still looked good and that he's going to continue to get looks in the offense. So all good things there. And if you take out the one game where Mason Rudolph kind of came in the middle of the game when Will Levis injured his shoulder, Chig has hit 40-plus receiving yards in 3 of the last 5 games he's played with Rudolph taking the majority of the snaps. In one game he went over, one game he went under, he had 38 receiving yards. So he still came incredibly close. And he's averaging about 48 receiving yards per game in games his last 5 with Rudolph. And to give you context for that, he's played 11 games where Levis took the majority of the snaps. He only hit 40 receiving yards in 2 of those 11 games, averaging 23 receiving yards per game. So we're going up from 48 per game in his last 5 with Rudolph to 23 on the year with Will Levis. It's a dramatic difference. And the matchup is phenomenal. Jags, abomination of a pass defense, literally the worst pass defense in the NFL according to DVOA. They've allowed the most passing yards per game in the NFL, and that's despite the fact that they're losing most of their games as well. So they're still allowing the most passing yards per game while also still losing a lot. They've allowed the most yards per route run, the 2nd most yards per target, and the 3rd most yards per reception. Very bad. Also, they have the worst DVOA in the NFL guarding tight ends as well. I really do think that this one does have ladder potential, but decided to play it safe, go with the 40-plus number, hopefully cashing it out for us. That's our second one. Third up, 2 more. Falcons, Commanders, we're going Terry McLaurin, 70-plus receiving yards, plus 115 odds at Bet365. This one also does have ladder up to 100 potential, but there are weather concerns in this one. It could be a very rainy game, so just wanted to play it safe. Obviously, you could still get there with bad weather, but it does limit his ceiling a little bit. But Terry's been so good this year. Falcons' passing defense has been so bad this year that 70-plus receiving yards is something that he can get, again, in bad weather. Terry missed this in the first 2 games for the Commanders while their offense was still kind of a work in progress. But since those first 2 games, he's cashed it in 8 of 13 games and in 6 of his last 10. And you look at his box score, typical receiver, boom games, bust games. In his last 10 games, he's got 2 games where he only had 10 and 19 receiving yards in those 2 games. And then he has other games where he had over 100 receiving yards in 3 of them. That's just a consistent, or sorry, that's not consistent. That's just how the stat production goes for most wide receivers. They're inconsistent. But the beauty of backing him is he will get the targets and he will get targeted downfield. He's played 15 games this year. He's only had 3 games this year where he had fewer than 6 targets. And again, because him and Jaden Daniels have such good chemistry on the deep ball, 6 targets is well within a good number for Terry McLaurin to get to 70 yards to cash this out. As I mentioned, matchup is good. Falcons' passing defense is not good. They've given up the 7th most receiving yards per game on the year to wide receivers, slightly more than that since week 9, the 6th most in that span since week 9. But going through their game log, you see number 1 receivers go off against them. Ladd McConkey had over 100 yards against them. The next week, both Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, they each had over 100 yards against the Falcons. They actually had over 130 yards in both of them. So with the weather possibly ruining this one, we'll just go safe, go with 70 plus. That's our 3rd one. And then our 4th play is also our ladder one. We're going to go Bucky Irving, 90 plus rushing yards, and we're going to go 100 plus rushing yards as a nice ladder as well. It's plus 155 on the 90 plus at Bet365, plus 230 for the 100 plus, and we're putting a half unit on that one. This one, Panthers versus Bucks game, this one's pretty simple. I'm guessing you guys already know. You're going to take your running back rushing props against the Panthers. Panthers run defense, absolute travesty. It's been that way all year. Doesn't help that they're losing the majority of their games, but teams are always able to run the ball against them, and they're always able to have success against them as well. On the entire season, the Panthers have allowed the most rushing yards per game at 141. And to put that into context on just how bad that is, the next closest team is at 116. So they're at 141. The next closest team is up down to 116. That's the difference between them and the second worst team. Far and away the worst run defense in the NFL. That's only gotten worse as the season has gone on. So it's 141 on the entire season. Since week 5, slightly up to 146. Since week 9, up even more to 155. Obviously, unsurprisingly, worst run defense in the NFL according to DVOA. Worst stuff rate in the NFL. They allow the 4th most yards after contact and the 2nd most yards before contact. Combination being top 4 in both of that is very, very bad. 6 straight running backs have hit their rushing prop over against the Panthers. And just look at some of these totals. 117 yards to James Conner last week, and he left early with an injury in that game. Week before, 149 yards to Rico Dowdle. Week before that, 124 to Saquon Barkley. Week before that, 152 to someone named Bucky Irving in this exact matchup. Bucky Irving had 152 yards against the Panthers. And he's taken over, Bucky has, Rachaad White, as the leading rusher on this team. He's hit at least 100 yards in 2 of his last 5 games. And last week, Rachaad White fumbled. For those of you that follow Coach Speak Index, Todd Bowles was not happy about the Rachaad White fumble, so I'm guessing Bucky gets the majority of the work in this one. He could easily average 7 yards per carry, easily get 20-plus carries in this game as well. We just need him to get to 100-plus to cash out this ladder play that I absolutely love, and that's all we got. Appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, check out all the links in the description of the video to support the channel, and have a good one.